progress. So this is notes 1-3. Called the domain and range. You guys have been doing domain and range a long time. Okay, it's not new. Probably 8th grade, 7th grade. Okay, but the reality of the fact is that when students even in pre-cal, right, a lot of them still struggle with domain and range, and it's just this what it is. And that's why we're covering it, because guys, from now on, every time we have a test, a homework, a quiz that has a graph, it's gonna ask you domain and range. So if you can leave today knowing domain and range, you're gonna have a free question the rest of the year every time you see a graph, okay? So even if you've never got it before, just pay attention and you can get it today, okay? So first, let's talk about them, domain and range. Okay. The first part you need to know is who, okay? And if you ever forget which one comes, like which one is the X, which one's the Y, it's just alphabetical order. D comes before R, the same way X comes before Y on the alphabet. So if you ever forget, just remember they're both in alphabetical order. Okay? So they're both really just measurements. The x-axis is like this, right? X-axis is this way, y-axis is this way. So you're just measuring. And if you're measuring in this direction, right, in simple words, it's like you're measuring how wide something is. How wide is it? Okay? If you're measuring in this direction, that's like your height, right? It's like how tall are you? Okay, so this is, in simple words, it's like the height. It's like the width, how wide a graph is, how tall a graph is. That's really what domain and range is, okay? But what's really important, and this is a lot of times students miss this, that you always have to go from least to greatest. So we do have a standard. You have to measure in this way. You measure from the small number to the big number, right? So, and what I mean by that is, for example, on the x-axis, which one would be the least side, the left side or the right side? Left side, right? Because those are negatives. What's on the right side? Positives. Okay, so we have to measure from left to right, always. Okay. Now, on the height, on the Y, which one is the least, the bottom or the top? The bottom, because those are negative numbers. So we always measure from the bottom, from the top, okay? And this is big, you understand that? Always from left to right, bottom to top. In other words, okay, and this, I'm gonna say this like 100 times today. The most left, X. Is what that's the number that goes there. The most right X, that's the number that goes there. Most left X, most right X, okay? This one's the most bottom Y. The Y, that's the lowest. And this is the most high or tall, whatever. Top Y, or highest Y. That's in simple words, guys. That's how you measure. Most left to most right, most low to most high. Any questions so far? Okay. Now we're gonna apply this. I'm gonna switch over to some graphs. You guys don't have graphs on your paper, so you don't have to draw these. You could sketch them if you want. If you wanna keep them just like little, like 4x4 grids, that's fine. But main thing is I just want you to practice reading the domain and the range of these shapes I'm gonna draw. Okay, that's all I want you to take away. So I'm gonna do this first one, and then from here, we're gonna practice, and then I'm gonna adapt to you. Like, I'll get really good really fast, we'll do harder really fast. If it takes you a little bit longer, we'll do it a little bit longer. Just whatever you guys need, okay? So here we go. And we'll do a bunch of different shapes. We're gonna start really easy. So when I do this shape, I do the domain, and again, you just say, what is the most left X that this shape has, right? And a lot of students mess up because they think what X it touches, and it has nothing to do with touches. And I know it's a silly example, but especially when we get to harder problems, just think of a little guy walking on this. What's the most left that he can walk before falling off, so to speak, right? Well, right here. And so right there, you ask, what is the x value right there? Oh, it's -4. Okay, so I can go from -4, and then you do the same. What's the most to the right he can walk before he falls off of this thing, right? So the most right he can go is right here, because after that he's gonna fall. So the x right there is 6. You have to keep your eyes focused just on the x-axis. And there's the domain. Okay, that's all there's to it. Range. What's the lowest he can go, right? So, yeah, this is the lowest part, but you don't look at the x because range is the y, so we have to look at the y numbers. Lowest to highest, right? So this is the highest part, but the y right there is 2. Okay, that's how it works. So now, guys, I want you to do, I'm gonna draw another shape, and then all I want you to do is write the domain and the range to yourself, and then we'll see how you guys are doing. Okay? I'm gonna draw a bunch of different shapes. Let's try this one first. Okay. Just all you write is what's the domain and what's the range. Alicia, can you see the numbers okay from way back there or no? Yeah. I want to see if the light, maybe I can turn off the light. Okay, so here we go. Domain. What's the most left part of this curve, guys? -4, right here. What's the most right? 6, right there. Okay. Remember, I know it's silly, but if you strokes, I don't know who struggles with this. Just picture that little guy, right? What's the most left he can go? What's the most right he can go? Okay, range. What's the lowest he can do? Right here, lowest part, -2, right? It has to be the y. What's the highest? 3 right here. It has to be the y. Okay, great. Okay, by show of hands, but with honesty, how many got it right? Both right. Okay, that's really good. Okay, if you didn't, don't worry. Let's keep trying. Okay, so you guys need more harder ones. Let's see this one. I didn't mean to erase the whole thing. This would have helped if I would have had some of these already before. Okay, try this one. Okay. It doesn't matter the shape. Don't let the shape scare you. It's still the same exact questions. What's the most left x? What's the most right x? What's the lowest y? What's the highest y? Regardless of the shape. Domain. What's the most left x? I keep doing -4 by accident. What's the most right x? Right here, right? Most right. 7. Range. What's the lowest y? Okay, so see now there's some interesting stuff right there. Those of you that said -2, which I don't know who you are, but if you said that, it doesn't have to do with touching. Okay, so this is where the little guy or a roller coaster would help you. If that's a roller coaster cart on this thing, what's the lowest part that it can reach? Yeah, right here. See, it doesn't have to do with touching, it has to do with like how far it can go. Okay, so -5. And the highest? 2, right? I drew it up here. That's the highest point, right? If this was a roller coaster. Okay, show of hands. How are we doing this class? I mean, we got it right. Okay, good. So about 80–90%. Okay, so you guys are doing good. We need to talk about something. Go to the top of your notes. And I'm gonna make this, on the top of your notes, write these two guys down. Okay? They're just organizing all these different symbols that exist. So we have a closed dot and we have an open dot. Okay? I'm gonna start introducing the differences between those two. Open dot means like you touch that number. Okay? You're actually at that number. Okay? So for example, I'm just gonna use the number 5. Okay? We started at 5, and it actually, you could, if you zoomed in, it was right there on number 5. Where an open dot, if you zoomed in a lot, it would not touch. But it would get infinitely close. Okay, and how close is infinitely close? Like 4.9 repeating forever close. Okay, as close as you can possibly get to something without being on top of it. Okay, that's the difference between an open dot and a closed dot. Symbols that go along with these is the inequalities have equal below them because you're actually equal to 5. You can equal the number. These ones, you can't equal the number, so you either have to be less than or greater than, but you can't equal the number. Okay? And then more importantly for what we're using right now, you notice I've only been using brackets thus far because it's equal to those numbers, okay? But we're about to do some parentheses where you can't equal those numbers, okay? An example of that would be like infinity. You can never reach infinity, so anytime you do infinity, you have to use parentheses because no matter how far you count, you won't reach an end, okay? And when you graph, solid lines are like closed dots. And if you remember back probably from Algebra 1 especially, the dashed lines don't touch. Okay, so it's just a way of organizing. These symbols go together, and these symbols go together. So they're like two little stick figures. We're good? We're good? Got them? Okay. So now we're going to introduce those. Okay, so let's try this. Let's say you had threw a little curveball at you, so this one's a little harder than the other ones. So I think we're gonna lose some hands for sure, but just try your best. Okay, guys. So this one's a little trickier, right? Let's try it together. What's the most left x value? So the domain is -3. That's the most left you can go right there. Should I have a bracket or a parentheses?
Parentheses.
We're kind of divided, okay? But it is a parentheses because that's an open dot. So those are those little stick figures we wrote. So that means it actually gets really close to -3, but it'll never actually touch -3. So that's what that means. Okay, and then I threw an arrow at you, right? So what's the most right value?
Infinity, right?
Infinity, that's what an arrow means. It just means it keeps going. Okay? When you see our arrow like that, it's never gonna switch this trajectory. So for example, it's never gonna like come back like that or something like that. You have to assume it's just gonna keep going that way, that way, that way. So it's a goes 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, infinity. Okay, so that's why it's infinity. And infinity, always parentheses. Excuse me. Range, that was kind of, I guess you have to just approximate, what would be the lowest?
Negative 2.
Yeah, 2.3, 3.4, whatever. It's close enough. I messed up on there. Say bracket or parentheses?
Bracket, cause it's a
Oh, yeah, bracket.
solid line.
Cause it's a solid line. Okay. Yeah, I put parentheses by accident. So it's a solid line. Had this been a dash line like this, that would have been a parenthesis. Okay. And then how high does it go? Infinity, right? It keeps going up, 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 up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, infinity. So infinity. Okay, there's your domain and your range. Just be honest though. How many of you got it right? Okay, look around. Very few. Okay, we lost a lot of hands. But on the next one, we'll be back to normal. We're just fixing stuff. We're patching up stuff. Okay, let's try one of those. Again. Go backwards this time. Bless you. It's tedious to like do one after another one after another one. This is the only time we're gonna do this. We're just practicing one after another. And we're almost done. Alright guys, so domain. What's the most left to the x on this? Yes, right, so this gives you one left, 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 right, so negative infinity. What's the most to the right? Parentheses or bracket? Parentheses, because it's an open dot. Okay. Range, what's the lowest y? So it would be -4 if it was a dot, right, but then arrow means, right, yeah. And so the bottom, is that negative infinity or positive infinity? Negative infinity. And then how far to the, or how, what's the highest part? Two. Bracket. Alright, so we only had about 3 hands left, 4 hands. How many of you got it right this time? That's the majority of the class. See that we're patching it up, okay? If you didn't get it, just ask me questions, or if you're in a bit, I'll help you. Any questions right now? Okay, let's try this one. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I thought I said 1K. I was like, it's 1K. Alright, here we go. I think this will be the last one. What is the most left x? -4 right here, right? That's the most to the left. Bracket or parentheses? Right. What's the most to the right x? Infinity, they're both going. Right? Now, positive or negative infinity? Positive, right? Positive, positive, positive. Very good. With the parentheses. Range, What's the lowest y?
Negative infinity.
Negative infinity, okay, because it goes down, 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 down. So, negative infinity. What's the highest y? Positive infinity, right? Because it goes up, 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 up. Okay, so we can write it like this, negative infinity, positive infinity, or some of you are recalling all real numbers, which just means all the numbers. This is the symbol for it. We say real because, as you guys remember from Algebra 2, there's imaginary numbers too, right? So it's only referring to the real numbers, not imaginary or other category of numbers. Okay, any questions, guys? Okay, we're gonna switch over now, so put those up and then